We're in episode 2 today of the Career Clarity course, and today we're going to be looking at 4 moments that have fundamentally shaped your career story. We're going to use your past to consciously design the future. We're going to be exploring how to use these 4 powerful questions that we use in the Equation podcast to really get into where you feel strong and talented, what you love, and the work that makes the most difference to you. We're going to introduce you to the idea that there are patterns, clues, and insights that can be drawn from your story, helping you to feel like the authority in your career rather than waiting for someone else to make sense of it for you. So I'm very excited to take you through the equation formula process today.
You'll spend 80,000 hours at work. You're here because you want those hours to count. Hi, I'm Zoë Schofield.
And I'm Erica Sosna. A warm welcome to the Career Equation podcast. On this podcast, we take time out from our award-winning careers consultancy to share a game-changing formula to help you solve the sum of your life.
Each week, we and our guests use the career equation to explore their story so far and help them unlock the secrets of a fulfilling career.
Welcome back to episode 2 of the Career Clarity mini-series here at the Career Equation podcast. And if you haven't yet, do grab your downloadable workbook for a small fee on our website, thecareerequation.com, so that you can really tuck into this material. Now, last time we explored the idea of the importance of owning the 80,000 hours that you're going to spend at work and the ways in which it supports you to be able to define success on your own terms. Now, today we're turning to your career story, not the one that you write in your CV or you tell at networking events, but a much deeper one. My work is all about your biography and your narrative. We are going to look at the story and what it tells us about your strengths, your passions, your values, and your working style. This is the story that's been forming since your very earliest experiences of both life and work. In our coaching, we often use a powerful tool that we call the career timeline. But today we're going to give you the shortcut for that. What we use for when we're coaching live on the podcast. We're going to use 4 memory-based questions that will uncover more about your natural fit, your flow, and your experiences than any psychometric test will ever do. So don't forget to pause along the way during the podcast and do the thinking. Get your reflections and download your insights. Now, I'm a biographical storyteller. That's actually where all of this work came from. And I've learned over the years how much our stories matter to us and how memorable and powerful they can be. So when you think about your career, think about it like a trail through the woods. And these 4 moments are the markers on the path. What we're trying to do is to use the insight of your stories and experiences to drill deep into the character who is present in all of those stories. That's you. And the more that we pause and reflect, the more that you will start to see patterns about places and spaces where you felt the most alive, the most energized, or even the most frustrated or stifled. So for those of you who are new to the career equation, let me just take you through a little bit about what it is, because it's a very simple formula to be able to make sense of and interpret your own career stories. The equation is a practical framework. And it basically says that there are 4 important themes, patterns, activities, criteria that we're looking at when we think about our career and our fulfillment in it. The first is playing to your strengths and your natural abilities. Where can we draw from your history to see what those are and how we might use them more? And it's my view that people are all designed for something specific. So the more we can play to our strengths, the more joy and fulfillment we get out of work. Secondly, we explore the idea of passion. What gives you energy? What gives you pleasure? What do you love? Because again, the more time that we can spend in fields and places and spaces where we love what we do, the happier we're going to be and the more we're going to want to do it. Thirdly, how do we measure our impact? And this is where your stories can tell us so much about what matters to you, who you are, what your values are, and what you measure when you talk about fulfillment and success in your life. Being able to have the confidence to know that things matter to you allows you to go the extra mile. It gives clarity on your drivers, and it helps those who want to reward and recognize you to know what's going to make the biggest difference. And last of all, as we interrogate and explore your stories, we are looking at this idea of environment. In the equation, we say that environment often makes the biggest difference. It can be a multiplier that means you're really satisfied, or it can be an extreme compromise if there are high levels of friction between the environment in which you do your best work and the environment that you're in. So the equation says skills plus passion plus impact. The maximum of all of those things helps us to know what your character is and who you are and what you're about. But those things are divided by the level of friction you experience between the environment that you need and the environment that you've got. So environmental fit is our fourth component. So we're going to go into a storytelling exercise in a moment where you're going to do some reflection. And I want you to hold in mind as we look at those stories, what is that telling us about your own equation and about your own design? So let's do it, Zoe. Let's get everyone exploring some of the moments that we use from their own stories, using the career equation as a lens. Let's start with our very first moment.
Just like we do with our guests on the podcast, we'd love you to go back in your memory or to a moment in your earlier life when you discovered you had a real strength for something, a talent for something. A time when you either thought at the time, I am really good at this, or perhaps you can look back now and reflect on that time and think, gosh, I was really good at that. It might be when you were in education, it might be a family project that comes to mind, or early work experiences. Perhaps something you were really creative at, or even organising something with your friends. When did something seem to come really naturally to you? When you felt at ease with something, felt seen and capable? We're not necessarily looking here for job relevant skills. We're looking for the sort of real roots, if you like, of your brilliance, the talents and superpowers that make you, you. So take some time to grab your reflections about a memory that this has sparked. And I would love you to think about what skills, gifts, talents, or strengths has that memory reminded you of? And make some notes about what that's bringing up for you. And perhaps think about how have they developed since then? What have you been using them for? How have you grown those skills and talents? And think about whether they're still an important feature of who you are now. Do they still matter to you that you get to use them? Do you even want them to be a strong feature when moving forward in your work? Perhaps also think about what problems or challenges or situations or experiences that they help to solve. And how is this reflection making you feel about your skills and strengths moving forward? This sort of like memory that's come up for you, or this moment in time. What are you taking away from these insights? So that's our first kind of memory. So feel free to pause and do some thinking there, or to listen in full and then go through and do it after, whatever works best for you. But Erica, shall we get people thinking about the next key memory or moment?
Indeed. This is one that I love, which is all about pleasure and about joy. So folks, it's time to connect with something in your career or even outside of your career that has brought pure joy, intense connection, high energy, strong motivation, intrigue, curiosity, with thinking about passions. So cast your mind back to a time when you were absolutely loving what you were doing, where you were fully engaged, where time just flew. You were totally absorbed. You were invested in the time. You cared deeply. You were motivated and energized by it. And what was going on around it? Are you alive in a group setting? Were you somewhere beautiful, particularly special? Were you crafting something on your own? What made it so enjoyable? What elements were present? Now, this often points out to you the times when the subject, the topic, the industry, the situation, the context was strongly connected to your interests, to what you value, to what motivated you, and your curiosities. So take some time to have a think about that specific moment. And as you do, let's notice what's coming up. How are you feeling when you remember that time? What was it about that time that still connects with you so deeply? And how important and relevant is that to you now? Are there parameters that feel more alive or less relevant than last time that you thought about it? And what does this story and experience tell you about your passions now as you move forward?
Want to supercharge the progress you're making in this series? Well, right now we're offering a special Clarity Power Hour, a one-to-one coaching session with one of us, plus the full downloadable Career Clarity Workbook, all for just £95. That is a massive saving from the usual $350, and it's only available for a limited time. If that sounds like the momentum boost you've been looking for, then visit thecareerequation.com/clarity, and the link will be in the show notes too. Let's make your next move a really confident one.
When I think about this, I often think about an experience that I had that in some ways has nothing really to do with my work day to day. I was at Glastonbury. It was probably about almost 20 years ago. And it was the year of the Great Flood. So it must have been, almost 20 years. And I was stumbling along in the mud, as you do. And I came to an open mic improv stage. And I sat down on my boiler suit and started listening. And all different people were rotating all the time on the instruments, on the mic, and just having a go. And suddenly the mic was free. And before I even knew that it was happening, my feet seemed to have carried me to the stage. There was a kind of blues tune kicking off between the various instrumentalists. And out of my mouth came this complete song about surviving Glastonbury with flip-flops and no wellies, and in this context that had just been so disastrous with the flood. Whoa, Glastonbury, you got me on my knees. I turned up here, I got no wellies. I don't know, just made up some crazy ad-lib thing. But the experience of it is really visceral for me. The experience of how much fun it was to work together with the audience and how much sort of laughter came out of realizing that I'm just making this up on the spot, but it relates to all of our experience. That chance to kind of showcase and share something, being seen, being visible. And actually, as I tell that story, I go, that there is quite a lot of correlation in a way to some of the skills and some of the pleasures that I enjoy in work of ad-libbing, sharing stories, sharing ideas, holding presence, making things make sense for people and creating community around that. So that's my example. Take some time to document yours. So maybe in work or outside of it. Where did you feel really alive? What was going on about it? And what does that now tell us about you?
So let's keep moving, Erica, I think, with this time travel onto our fourth kind of moment of memory and meaning. And we want to connect with a moment of meaning and fulfillment. I'd love you to take a bit of time to think about a time when your work or your life had real meaning in a way that mattered to you and it was measurable. When did you feel that your contribution was really counting? When did you solve tricky problems, or you were helping somebody? Were you really in a place where you could move the dial on something that you really cared about? This is a signal of what impact matters to you, your success factors and where your values shine. What values or important experiences is this memory reconnecting you with? What are you seeing or feeling or experiencing at that time? What were the critical factors, if you like, of your success then? What stands out for you as real markers in the sands of success? And how does that connect with what matters to you now? So we talked, remember, in episode 1 about your success criteria, if you like, your shopping list of success. How does that connect? This memory that's come up for you, how does that connect with what matters to you now?
Tell me about a time where something really mattered to you, Zoe, in your working life, and why?
A time that has been really important was supporting lots of people through redundancy and redeployment when I was coaching people. And it mattered to me because I'd been through the process myself where I'd used the career equation to help myself decide what was I going to do next. I was in a potential redundancy situation myself, and I wanted to take control of the situation and take control of my destiny. And I saw hundreds of people in the same situation in the organization. And so I negotiated to stay a bit longer and to coach people through that process to help them take control of a situation which was really debilitating and understand exactly what we're taking you through in this 6-part mini-series. Like, what matters most to me right now? What am I good at? What helps me to be at my best? What do I care deeply about? What do I love doing? All of those things to really shape the next stage, the next chapter for them, whether they stayed in the organization or embarked on something new. And that it did really matter to me. And that's why I still do coaching now, because it continues to really matter to me.
So memory number 4, you're nearly there. And this one is a moment about misfit or misalignment. So this time we want you to think about a time where you were not feeling aligned, where something about the environment, the context you're in felt wrong, off, stifling, de-energizing, and perhaps had quite a big impact on your ability to thrive. Just take a moment. I know it's uncomfortable, but see what you can conjure up when you think about a moment when the work environment was actively working against you doing or being your best. It could be a toxic manager, a chaotic workplace, a poor fit in values. What was it that was frustrating? What was missing? Because this actually tells us loads about the conditions you don't thrive in, which is just as important as a point of liftoff to identify what you would thrive in. So quick examples. Gosh, I've got loads of these. I remember when I joined the prison service as part of my first home office assignment, I had a manager who I could not understand. It didn't matter how long he spoke, or the way that he explained things, I could not understand what he was asking me to do. And the more that the meeting went on, the more awkward we would both get. And I'd go and sit back at my desk, burning in shame and awkwardness because I had no idea what was supposed to happen next. And it was really deflating, very demoralizing. Another example, I worked at the Home Office on Queen Anne's Gate, which just backs onto the beautiful St. James's Park. And one of the things that would just do my head in is that on a glorious sunny day, I couldn't open the window because they were bomb-proof windows and the building was really ugly and depressing anyway. But the bomb-proof windows were a real killer for me. I just felt like I was suffocating and stifled. So some examples could be context, could be the environment you're in, it could be the tools you did or didn't have access to, it could be the values or the culture. So tell us about a memory, have a think about it, scribble it down, and then reflect on these 3 things. What does this memory tell you about the kinds of environments that you needed? And if you were now designing your perfect working environment, if you were flipping that whole experience round, what did you need that you didn't get? What would this perfect working environment be full of? And therefore, what are the must-haves for creating an environment that would genuinely nourish you? So take some time to reflect on these questions. If you want to, you can download the workbook, and there's lots of additional pieces around this as well. But just take some time to scribble down what is the environmental need that wasn't provided there, so that we can deliver on the insight about what you need in place in order to thrive.
So as we begin to pull this together, when you reflect on those 4 moments, what are you beginning to notice? You'll start to notice patterns emerging or themes emerging about environments where, as you cast your memory back, places where you really have thrived. Perhaps they've been fast-paced, really full of energy, or perhaps you've been better when there's been calmer, more human-centric kind of activity. You'll notice things about times when you've had real meaning in your work, where things have mattered, as opposed to times when you thought, what am I even doing this for? Who cares? We don't want that to repeat. And also think about the times when you felt really high energy, where you've been surrounded in an environment that helps you to be at your best and nurtured. Not in a place, as Erica described, where you can't even understand what somebody is speaking to you about. What has really worked for you? Just notice what's coming up for you, because these are your real career clues. And the more that you understand what that narrative is telling you, the more that we can start to carve out and make better decisions as we move forward.
So, call to action. We are done for lesson 2 today. And here is your action prompt. I want you to journal your answers and your reflections. And to recap, here are the 4 memory areas, the 4 moments that we want you to look at. Number 1, a moment where you knew that you were naturally good at something, ideally from as early in your life as possible. This gives us a sense of your unique design and the things that are fundamental to who you are. Number 2, a moment where you just loved what you were doing. Think about me bellowing at Glastonbury, things that give you joy, energy, and motivation. This gives us a sense of your engine, what gives you energy, what has you excited and energized. Number 3, a moment of meaning where you knew that what you were doing mattered, that it had an impact, that it was meaningful. This gives us a sense of your drivers, of what is it that makes you feel successful and fulfilled. And lastly, give yourself a moment where the environment and you were not aligned, where it was really difficult to do your best work, where you felt like a misfit, where you felt stifled, because that toxicity is deep in your memory. And if we can flip that round and go, what did you need instead? We'll get some amazing insights based on your stories and experiences about the kind of environment that makes the biggest difference to you. And I think that environment is one of the most crucial factors. Once you've captured those moments, you're going to do the bullet reflections that we've given you and that are available in the workbook. And you're looking for, what do I notice? For example, I'm always excited, energized when it's something new, or I'm surrounded by these kinds of people, or it's more informal, or it's more creative, or what do you start to notice based on your history, your story of your career? What is that telling us about the central character, which is the wonderful thing that is you, the wonderful person that is you? So to help you along, if you'd like to listen to an episode where Zoe or I are coaching around the equation formula, and you'll see lots of people answering these questions and gathering their insights, you can self-coach just by answering these questions. And next time, in episode 3, we're going to be using the insights that you generate to build something incredibly powerful, what we call the career design statement, your personalized career equation, career navigation system, so that you can work with intent when you make choices around your career. So stay with us, share in the Facebook group, let us know you're enjoying it, and we look forward to hearing and sharing with you again.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Career Equation podcast. Stay connected with us on socials for more career insights, behind-the-scenes moments, and updates on upcoming episodes. And if you'd like to work with us, visit the Career Equation website or click the links in the show notes.
Remember, the Career Equation isn't just a podcast, it's a journey towards unlocking your full potential, enjoying your life, and doing remarkable stuff. And don't forget to share your thoughts and feedback with us. Your input shapes the future of our show.
Until next time, keep solving those career equations and pursuing your path to success. This is Sosna
and Zoë Schofield, signing off.